Rosh Shana. On the one hand, Rosh Shana, the new year, is a dichotomous holiday because on the one hand, it connotes to people who are observant, a day of tshuva, reflection, tefillah, a serious day of prayer. Whereas to people who are secular, at the same time, when you ask them about Rosh Hashanah, they'll say it's tapuach udvash, apple and honey, family time, honey cake, celebrating and enjoying. So on the one hand, you have this time that connotes seriousness and depth, and on the other hand, you have this time that connotes a certain amount of celebration and a lack of depth, something that's very much on the surface. And it's interesting because if we ask why is that, we look for a moment and reflect back on Parshat Nitzavim. The Torah tells us that when a person is ridding their house of various fruits to give over to Ma'aser, a tithe, a portion, to the Levi, to a poor person, to the Levite, and so on and so forth, the Torah says that while the person is ridding themselves of this fruit and giving it over to those appropriate people, he also declares a vidui, a confession. And he says, Bi'arti HaKodesh min habayit, lo avarti mimitzvotecha velo shachachti. Asiti kechol mitzvotcha asher tzivitani. I have done like all of the commandments that you, God, have commanded me. Lo avarti mimitzvotecha velo shachachti. I have not transgressed sins, and I have not forgotten your commandments, God. Why do we make this declaration? And it's interesting because normally, Rav Chagai London explains, normally vidui, confession, is something that is ascribed to a time of seriousness, of introspect, even of judgment. Classically, when we think of confession, we think of Yom Kippurim, the Day of Atonement, when we are confessing our sins and asking for forgiveness and trying hard, practically, to acquire another year of life, another year of family, another year of subservience to God. Vidui, confession, is also ascribed to a time of death. Chas v'chalila, when a person is on their deathbed, they are instructed to do vidui, confession. But here, this confession has a different context. This confession is involved with us saying, I have subscribed to your commandments, God. I have not forgotten who you are, and I have tried to adhere to the mitzvot. And the answer, I think, is in this dichotomous interpretation of the vidui, with the serious connotation on the one hand, and with the positive connotation that I have fulfilled and subscribed what you command, God, this is exactly the message. There are times when, yes, we have to be in deep introspect and reflect upon judgment. But in order for us to succeed in this world, we have to also be positive about ourselves, be secure with ourselves, and be able to declare that we are anashim tovim. We make mistakes, but we try our hardest to be tov, to be good. And that's the vidui that's expressed here in that parsha of Ki Teitzei. This relationship is what we have to be able to incorporate. In order for us to arrive at a Yom Kippurim, we have to first experience a Rosh Shana. Rosh Shana is celebratory, it has a holiday aspect to it, and it's a time when we declare Shana Tova. Not Shana Smecha, not a happy new year, but a good new year. Goodness is not always translated by happiness, and vice versa. When we're being good, we're not always happy. And when we're happy, we're not necessarily doing good. But ultimately, if we recognize that we are good people, that our foundations are to be good, then we're capable of arriving at the vidui of Yom Kippurim, a more serious vidui, a more serious confession with that introspect. And so this Rosh Hashanah, we have to certainly approach it with seriousness and with prayer and with understanding. But at the same time, we have to also be able to be secure with ourselves in saying, in the end of the day, we're all just trying to be good people to God and to the people around us. That is the Torah way. It is the Jewish way. It is the Gila way, and I wish all of you and all of us a Shana Tova, a good year.